Need my aromatherapy. Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of your favorite show of all time, Bad Creep. Undercooked Creepypasta. For those uninitiated or just new to the cafe, every October around the spooky times, we all gather around the virtual campfire and look at, discuss, and critique poorly written creepypastas in some way, shape, or form. And when I tell you we got some stinkers on deck for Season 2, I'm talking SpongeBob foghorn sound effect levels of stink, alright? In fact, before I let you guys pass and proceed, I am obligated to give each and every single one of you out there one of these. It's important to breathe, and especially around these pastas, it's especially important to breathe clean air and filter out all the poopy particles, because when I tell you, when I pulled up these things to read for you guys, it emitted, each and every single one of them, a very familiar yet intense aroma of pig shit. So take your mask, I'm going to take mine, and we will proceed into the disappearances at the Nickelodeon archives. Let's go, strap in, put on your mask, let's do it! Season 2, baby! Intro. There's a reason why a lot of Nicktoons and certain scenes had suddenly been cancelled or shelved. Nickelodeon had a lot of trouble during its period of the 2000s due to some cancellations and experimentations. There's an existing vault locked in the original Nickelodeon studios in Universal Studios, Florida, in the corridors of bright hallways and escalators that pull up. There exists a vault hidden in one of the abandoned sets for the game shows. People had gone to the original studios to investigate the rumors of a deeper hidden area of the vaults, but no one returned. Story. The whole investigation was discovered in January 30th, 2001, when a series of video diaries were released documenting a man venturing into the vaults. But after Section 20, the camera turns off. The man was never found again for the next 4 years before he was found mysteriously dead due to mysterious expectations. That was kind of a weird sentence, but go off, King or Queen. It became a trend to go to the Nickelodeon archives and achieve, through Section 20, one of the more obscure sides of Nickelodeon. I'm gonna have to censor that spicy S word, so just bear with me. I'm gonna try to pronounce it differently. You had your usual suspects like Squidward Suikidae, Red Mist, Crybaby Lane, and multiple lost episode and pilots of Nickelodeon cartoons and shows. Then, you dig deeper and find stuff like disturbing character sheets, cryptic animatics for cartoons, digitalized screenshots from cartoons from a company with the credentials of SCC. One person found a screenshot rendering of Ren with a blank expression. His eyes were sunken and his fur was thick with some sort of grime. Next to his frame was one of those cartoon shotguns used in Looney Tunes. One of the other frames was SpongeBob with a happy and disturbed look. Next to him in the render was a cartoon bottle of pills. In total, during the 2000s up until 2010s, there were a total of 410 documented missing cases. That's a lot. And about 40 of them end with different results. One reported father shot himself in the neck in the same exact fashion Squidward did. One woman had poisoned herself, claiming that she was SpongeBob. One sad case had a kid shove a spider in his mouth. He swallowed it and died due to the toxicity of the spider swallowed. You You can't die from ingesting a spider, sorry. Nice try. Police and the FBI were baffled at why and how these disappearances happened. Where did they come from? What was happening? There was a breakthrough. May 16th, 2014, the day when the police found a secret shelter near the studios. The shelter contained hundreds and thousands of VHS tapes, hard drives, and DVDs, all of which were backups of the entire archive. One thing's for sure, someone is doing this on purpose, but the question was, why? No one really knew who this person was. What's their motive? All the police and FBI knew was that someone was on their target and the killer's moving fast. Then, another breakthrough. They found the culprit exactly 2 years after the first one. Anton Springfield, one of the puppeteers for the show Mr. Meaty, who was fired after disputes with Nickelodeon executives about the show and its quality control, leading to Season 2 being the final season and canceling the show. He was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, and harassment. The motive from the killer was revenge, especially when Nickelodeon demanded that the show be less dark, infuriating Anton even more than before. He was sent to life in prison in August of that same year, closing off the biggest mysteries. Until the FBI decided to check on the DVDs, VHS tapes, and hard drives containing the backup of the archives. That's when things took an unexpected turn and turned this case from a simple murder case about revenge into one of the biggest Nickelodeon mysteries the FBI had the displeasure of investigating. So, we open this season with a lukewarm story. My first problem with the story is that it's something that really breaks the immersion, is how the story seems to jump around a lot. It's way too fast-paced for a creepypasta about a mystery such as, murders and disappearances and the like. There are important details here, but it seems like we're rushing through them when reading. Like the detail of the original video diaries, they were released on January 30th, 2001, but were these released to the public or were they found later on? I don't know. One thing that really knocks points off for this pasta is that the timeline continuity is off. Like I mentioned, the story begins in January 2001, but the culprit of the killings was done by a puppeteer for Mr. Meaty, and if you know anything about Mr. Meaty, it was a show that ran from 2006 to 2009. And, sure, I looked it up. Mr. Meaty originally began as a series of short programs starting in 2002, but the whole dispute of the show being too dark was, according to this story, what led the series to be canceled after Season 2. I have a hard time believing that the dispute, logically speaking, would have lasted a whole nearly decade. Especially with the killings having started before the shorts even premiered on Nickelodeon, it just doesn't add up. If everything here is to be believed, bro would have to have been fired in 2001, probably before even principal photography even began on the original shorts. Another thing, logically, how would a puppeteer have any say in what the overall tone of the show should be? That shit's up to the showrunners. The dispute would be between the showrunners and Nickelodeon, not some actor in Nickelodeon. Speaking of the actor, why was he killing random people that came into the archive as revenge? If Mans was pissed off at the higher-ups, wouldn't they be his target and not whatever rando normie enters the studio? That's something to think about. And what about that head count? A tally of 410 missing cases? That's absolute overkill, especially when considering this is one location. You'd think authorities would have caught on a whole hell of a lot sooner than to let this go on for a decade. A more realistic and spookier number would be about, 10 to 20 or even 30 missing persons cases. Once you get past about 30 or 40, whether it's 30 deaths or 30 missing people, you begin to get diminishing returns on the scary factor. 410 is just cartoonishly high. And the death imitations are also just goofy as all hell, especially the one about the kid eating the spider. It says he died from the toxicity of the spider that was ingested, but you cannot die from eating a spider. Venom is not poison. It is a toxin like poison is, but it is not, I repeat, not a poison. Venom has to be injected to cause harm, like through the fangs of a spider. The acid in your stomach would break down and neutralize the venom from the spider, and the spider is really just any other protein. It would be broken down just like that in your stomach as well. Hell, there are cultures out there of people that eat spiders as a delicacy. You don't hear about them dying, do you? Maybe the kid was allergic to spider venom or some shit. He ate a spider, it triggered an anaphylactic reaction, his fucking throat swelled shut, and then he keeled over and died. I don't know. It's goofy. It's just goofy. Not to mention some of the writing is painfully clunky. One instance that sticks out to me is the passage, quote, "The man was never found again for the next 4 years before he was found mysteriously dead due to mysterious expectations." Yeah, you don't use that kind of repetition when writing a story. Personally, I would have written, "He was found mysteriously dead due to unknown circumstances," and then I would have wrapped it in a pretty little bow, given it a kiss, and sent it on its merry little way. Another clunky piece of writing I can highlight is, quote, "He was sent to life in prison in August of that same year, closing off the biggest mysteries. Period. Until, the FBI decided to check on the DVDs." Now, did you notice that break in the sentence? Starting a new sentence with "until" it can be confusing. I would have written it one of two ways. Okay, the first one would have been, "He was sent to life in prison in August of that same year, closing off the biggest mysteries until the FBI decided to check on the DVDs." Notice there was no stop there. Or I would have changed the wording a bit. I would have changed it up. I would have said, "He was sent to life in prison in August of that same year, putting an end to the case, period. That is until the FBI decided to check on the DVDs." Either one of those ways, it flows better and reads better. I don't know if their writing is this way, or if it was put through Google Translate, or if this is just, an ESL moment, but it needs some cleaning up. Anyway, throwing the Disappearances at the Nickelodeon archives into the shitometer, and it's gonna come out at a solid 1.5 out of 5 dog shits. Overall, a good premise that was spoiled by some poor writing and storytelling choices. The story has potential, but it's held back by plot holes, clunky writing, and just goofy deaths. Anyway, that's it today for this episode of Undercooked Creepypasta. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts on the story. What would you change to make it better? This has been KafeJake. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next time.